things that surprised me at the IGF. I've heard in several venues that online censorship is rather, well, it's a technical issue, maybe more than a political one. And I mean, here we all know, you all know very well, that blockings are not only about protecting children and fighting pornography, even if, of course, this is part of the things. But on the opposite, there are very concrete consequences of online censorship in Turkey for journalists, bloggers, and the population rights to be informed. Among particularly alarming symptoms, you mentioned most of them, I think. I would just name the blocking of alternative information websites, such as Vegas, Yeni Dönem, Sendika.org, many Kurdish news association, news resources, Facebook, increasingly Facebook pages of alternative media. We have noted over the past few months a multiplication of publication bans, which is just the most obvious censorship. It's imposing a blackout, for instance, on the corruption scandal that started in December, on the trucks of the intelligence services MIT to Syria, and on other events. So this is a very concerning trend as well. Obviously, banning Twitter and YouTube is the privilege of few states, very few states in the world. So here, Turkey was entering into a club which is really restricted and in which really Turkey has nothing to do, together with China, Iran, and the likes. Of course, this was also probably a way of trying to twist the arm of international corporate actors, which make us fear an increasing cooperation as well in the coming months. Another, and just the last of such symptoms, points of concern is the negotiations between the governments and companies, foreign companies, such as the Swedish NetClean or the American Procera networks, which are firms proposing services of mass surveillance. So, of course, this is also an utmost concern for us. As a result, as simple as that, it's getting more and more difficult, sometimes even nearly impossible, to report on matters of such general interest as corruption, as the Turkish policy towards Syria and its other neighbors, etc. And this is all the more concerning, as you rightly pointed, Cynthia, in the context of the shrinking media pluralism in the traditional media. So if this space, the internet is also shrinking as well, then there is much to be frightened. On the laws, the amendments that were introduced after President Gül's intervention in the reform of the allowing the TIP to block administratively without court orders websites for such loose definition as privacy rights or defending honor and reputation, etc. After President Gül's intervention, there was indeed some progress, but as it is, it's still far from being satisfactory. Even if a website is blocked only 48 hours preventively before a court to intervene, this is 48 hours too much, which shouldn't exist. And of course, by no means the way it has been applied over the recent months is defending privacy. The European Court of Human Rights, to which Turkey is part, has for years very well explained that when high-ranking officials are at stake, when you're speaking of a government, of a prime minister, then the right to privacy should be balanced with the right to obtain information on matters of public interest. On the myths, yeah, you said it all. I would just stress that among others, it's the recent reform on the intelligence services, destroys more, if it was possible, the principle of confidentiality of journalistic sources, which is supposed to be guaranteed in the Turkish law, but which is in practice, which in practice has never been really guaranteed. This new law is indeed one more really harming factor. Basically, there is no confidentiality of sources in such a context, and so without this cornerstone of press freedom, leaks, sources will refrain from approaching journalists because they will be frightened to be wiretapped, to be identified, and so by doing so, you are killing journalism at the source. Our recommendation claims are well known. Obviously, repealing the recent amendments is absolutely necessary, but overhauling overhauling the law on internet 5651 is also absolutely necessary, especially Articles 8 and 9, which are used to ban nearly everything on various pretexts. And of course, this is also a matter of, important for the judiciary practice, the judiciary culture to evolve and to get rid of security-focused reflexes. So, just to wrap up, this is indeed a turning point for internet freedom in Turkey, as well as globally. This is only one struggle, especially given the regional role of Turkey in this region and its aspiration to be a regional model. So this is all the more important what happens here. And what is at stake is the preservation of the openness of internet, its global character, or its fragmentation into heavily controlled national segments. So I'm not sure that in internet governance, obviously, but in terms of internet freedom and censorship, I would just like to stress that nearly everything is already on the table. I mean the norms, the principles. There is the Turkish Constitution, there is the European Court on Human Rights and its case law. There are the international principles set by several UN instances, such as the Freedom of Expression rapporteur Franck Larue. There is the recent United Nations General Assembly resolution on mass surveillance. So all these texts already exist. They are already blatantly violated. So obviously there is much to be done, and I would also like to join my voice saying that we are really happy to be here with you, 5 organizations. We are happy to be together.